Hi, I'm Greta Oliver. Welcome to the EducateU podcast, your roadmap to learning tips, techniques, and strategies to enable your student to successfully navigate the road to and through higher education. Today's guest on the Relating to Professors segment of EducateU is Dr. Lois Boynton. Dr. Boynton is an associate professor at UNC Chapel Hill in the School of Journalism and Media, where she just marked 20 years. Lois is a force to be reckoned with while she works tirelessly on behalf of her students. Her teaching and research focus is on ethics and strategic communication. Prior to joining academia, she worked as a journalist and a PR practitioner. Today, she'll be sharing her knowledge with us about students and how they can better relate to their professors as mentors, advocates, motivators, and educators, and the importance of these relationships for students in college. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Lois Boynton.
Thank you, Dr. Oliver. It is very good to see you and to be here today.
All right. Well, we're going to just jump right in here and get busy talking about all the wonderful things that you do. And when I say that, I am not playing. I'm seriously one of your biggest fans, I'm sure. So, Lois, how would you define your role as an advocate, mentor, motivator, or educator for your students? This is a broad question, but How do you see yourself?
I see it, I think first and foremost is listening. I'm a listener. I can help better if I know where you're coming from. I never did well on the mind reading course. So you got to kind of fill that in a little bit. But whether it's day-to-day challenges, you want to complain about something, you want to share good news, you got 10 minutes before class starts and you just want to hang out. Many students do that. I'm there for those sorts of things. And the listening part really is something that I think is helpful for me, but I think it's part of the relationship building element. So it really doesn't matter what we're talking about and what I'm listening to. It's all part of that relationship. For example, a student may come by and say, I got a few minutes before class starts. I'm just stopping by to say hi. And about 3 minutes in, they'll actually have something they really do want to talk about. They didn't broach that when they came in the door. Right. And, it's an opportunity then for me to give my 2 cents on something. I think my other role is a piece of the networking component. I'm sort of a cog in that wheel, working with our alum. We have a number of fabulous alum who are more than happy to talk about what they do in their jobs, and other professionals who I know in the area who I may have worked with previously or have gotten to know, being in the community. So I think those are primary pieces of what I can help and contribute with students.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. And I know it's true because people are like flocking around you like you're the Pied Piper almost. And so I've heard nothing but good things about you from your students and your colleagues. And I'm just so proud of you and the things that you're doing and the efforts that you put forth towards students. Because really, the whole thing, when you're in academia, when you're a professor, when you're a student development practitioner, it's really all about students. And so when we can keep that foremost at the top of our minds, we'll be able to serve them better. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're really serving them.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so you mentioned that you are sometimes a networker or a connector for some of these students and maybe just a listening ear at times, and especially when you can see that students are going through a lot. Right now, they're all going through a lot of uncertainty. And sometimes we don't even know as full-grown old adults what's going on, what's next, what's happening, so it's so much uncertainty. So it's important to have like a sounding voice, somebody that they can go to, even if they are just, passing the time or, just saying hi. That's all important because students are just complex beings, and they really, once they get to a place within themselves where they can reach out to faculty members, staff, different people on campus and find their advocates and find mentors. That's a big step for them. And for them
Really
to even
is.
come in and say, hi to you, it's a big
Exactly.
step for some students because they come to the
It is.
campus a lot of times. They're not sure of
Mhm.
anything. They don't feel like they have a voice.
Right.
But being that listening ear is so
Mhm.
vitally important.
Yeah, it is. And,
So, yeah.
another piece to that too
Mhm.
is um, uh, acknowledging and validating that I realize that problems exist right now. So
Exactly.
when we were last semester, there were innumerable things that
Hmm.
were disruptors. And just taking 5 minutes at the beginning of class to say, this is a hard, horrible thing we're having to
Hmm.
deal with here. I get
Hmm.
that. I understand that, the stress that you're dealing with may seem to be
Absolutely.
just beyond what you can handle. So, you
Hmm.
know, realize there are resources here. I'm here. I'll
Hmm.
point you in the right direction
Hmm.
for what you may need. And doing
Hmm.
that sort of thing, they may not respond in class, but I may get an email
Hmm.
that evening that's from two or three people saying, thank you for saying that. Because,
Absolutely.
we don't always feel like people understand that it's hard.
Right. It is hard. It's hard for us too.
It
And so
is.
that's a two-way street, a
It
two-way
is.
relationship. It's
Yeah,
basically a relationship. We're talking about building relationships through
absolutely.
advocacy, through
Hmm.
mentorship, just through a support
Right.
person.
Yep.
A lot of people need help right now.
They really do.
And so we're seeing that students really need more help than we even thought they did. This is just
Yep.
off the cuff, but there are a lot of like mental health issues
Right.
popping up and things of
Yep.
that nature. And maybe they were already there, but the situation we've been in with the pandemic has just kind of
Yes.
moved it to the forefront, and a lot of
Right.
students as well as adults can't.
Yep.
They don't know where to go for help or how to
Right.
cope with it.
Right. And those are the things that we can remind students of, remind our
Hmm.
peers of, to be able to
Hmm.
say, here's some resources,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
yeah. And I
Mhm.
was watching, I found a YouTube video the other day, and I want to be able to show it in class. There was a mom sending her little one, who looked to be probably about 9,
Mhm.
out for the day, and said something about, go and conquer the world. And the kid says, I don't want to. She said, okay, well, just do the bare minimum.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that kind of, there are days when the bare minimum is,
Yes.
congratulations, you got up and you took a
Absolutely.
shower.
Absolutely. Just showing up. Just showing up
Show
sometimes
up,
is
man. Just
it.
show up.
You showed up. At least you came. So
Exactly.
that's a big thing. And we have to also celebrate like even small things, each
Hmm.
small victories. Everybody is not going to be in the best of spirits or doing their best or so we just got to understand that
Yes.
there has to be some grace given. There
Yes.
definitely has to be some
There
grace
is.
given on
There is.
everybody's part right about now.
Absolutely.
So I can see why it would be really beneficial for students to have solid relationship with you, because you're that sounding board, you're that
Right.
supporter. Do you have any mentees amongst your students? People
I
that kind
do.
of
Yeah.
look up to
Um,
you
um,
as.
Most of them, it's an informal thing.
Mm-hmm.
They are, they come for a conversation, and somewhere along the
Mm-hmm.
line, I'm now, a link to that person. So I enjoy those types
Mm-hmm.
of relationships too, because I have students come to me who say, I know you're not my professor this semester, but I don't know who
Mm-hmm.
else to talk to
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And it's okay. Let me talk to me about it. And if I don't know
Mm-hmm.
the answer, we'll figure out what the answer is.
That's great, and that's a
So,
result of the great relationship building that you do with your students
exactly.
because it is a relationship.
It is.
So,
And
um,
it's a give and take. It really is a
mhm,
give and take.
absolutely. And you're getting something in this too.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just like they are getting something from you and being able to maybe stand or be supported by you,
Mhm.
you still get something from them. So
Oh,
it's a
yeah,
two-way relationship and that's the best
absolutely.
kind. That's the
Yes,
best kind.
it is.
So, what kind of challenges, what specific challenges do you foresee for students who are on campus, but they just don't engage with anyone? They're not
Hmm.
worried about, or even concerned about the fact that they're loners or they have no
Right.
support system. So what do
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
what challenges do you think they may have?
Yeah. And those are tough situations. And I think they probably happen more often than we're aware,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not telling anybody,
Right, right.
that,
Mm-hmm.
because either they've been taught somewhere along the line, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and buck
Mm-hmm.
up and,
Right.
just go
Do
handle
it.
it. You'll be
Right.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Take up a hobby or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard sometimes to know what problem areas there are. And so I think part of my role is, and it's what I needed when I was starting out in college, because I didn't know nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
When you're 18,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to major in. I didn't, I went
Mm-hmm.
to college because my parents went to college and my brother went to
Right.
college. So, hey,
Right.
I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
college.
Mm-hmm.
With no idea why. And um, but it's hard to admit, I don't know what I don't know. So
Right.
having it requires me as a professor to look around and
Mm-hmm.
see, are there people who may just need somebody to say hi?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a
Absolutely.
starting point of a relationship. There's
Mm-hmm.
this fear that somehow faculty people are, I don't know, we're either up on a pedestal, we're nerds, or there's something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with us. Most of us are
Right.
fairly normal.
Right.
Um, uh, but it's hard to do that. You run
Mm-hmm.
into a professor in the grocery store and it's like, oh, who are
Yeah,
you?
they actually eat. They
Yeah,
actually
we eat.
grocery shop.
Yay.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's like a division, like
mhm,
kind of professional and
right, right, right.
underling, I guess I want to
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
a
yeah,
mindset that some students have, between professors and the
mhm,
way that they feel like they can engage with their
right.
professors. But the thing is, the bottom line is, we're all humans. We are all, the
Absolutely.
same, and we have some of the
Yeah,
same fears. We're just older and
yeah,
trying to deal with them. But right now, I keep talking about this time right now because it is
yeah,
so different than anything anybody has
right,
lived
right.
through. And so we're
I
in
think,
unprecedented times.
yeah, I think
And so we all need help.
the hardest part when we were in doing everything on Zoom, for example,
Hmm.
was not having that opportunity for interaction in the hallway or walking across campus,
Right, right,
because that's where a lot of this stuff happens,
right,
is
absolutely.
seeing somebody on their way by,
Right. Hmm.
on their way to
Hmm.
class or something, or I'm going to
Hmm.
class, or how are you, or how did that project go, or whatever it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and we missed a lot of that when we were
Right,
doing everything on Zoom. I'm glad to be back
absolutely.
to
Hmm.
in-person stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I hope it lasts.
I do
I
too.
really, we're all, oops, something happened. Okay.
Yeah,
We're
we're back.
normal.
Yep,
We're back after
we're
a
back now.
technical glitch. Okay, so
Small commercial break.
I'm just hoping it lasts and that we can get through this
Yes,
year
yes,
and
yes,
plan better, for
absolutely.
what's to come. And as much as we know, we can
Right,
plan a
right.
bit better.
And just
So,
to one of the other things with your question, some of the challenges if you
mhm,
are not engaging is
mhm, mhm,
even some basics like, well, what courses might I take other than the required
mhm,
ones? Or
mhm,
I have
mhm.
to take something in history after, 1900,
Right,
what do I
right.
do? What do I
Hmm.
do? Or I have
Yeah, just some nuts
electives.
and bolts.
Yeah, some of the nuts and bolts
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
What should go in my resume? Or my LinkedIn site?
Exactly.
What
Hmm.
do I emphasize?
Right.
Um, how do I write cover letters and things like that? And I think one of
Hmm.
the bigger
Hmm.
things is that networking and opening doors for people.
Right, right. Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
I'm in a school where it's considered called a professional school. Students are training to be journalists and public relations practitioners and
Hmm.
ad practitioners, and that professional ability, the connections are really vital. I
Hmm.
was talking with a student a couple of semesters ago, and he was getting ready to graduate. And he said, I'm not sure what to do. I really want to go into stuff that has to do with entertainment and particularly music, but I don't have any contacts. And I said, well, funny we should have this conversation. We have two alum, one working at Fender and another one working with an organization that books music groups. I got their emails. You can tell them it's my fault you're getting in touch. Talk to them and find out what their job entails and who do you call.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so important. And also to kind of be that helping hand, because I know when we went to college, we went around the same time, and when we graduated, we didn't have professors like you. I mean, at least I didn't. And I don't know, I don't think you did. I think we had professors that we just simply got knowledge from. They didn't interact much with us. And so, it's a big difference in the way students interact with their professors now, and the relationship that can be built amongst the two. So that's great. That's a good thing. That's one good thing we can say today about higher education and education. We have today more of a chance of actually making a real difference beyond just the class that you taught. You can make a real difference in somebody's life, pointing them in the right direction about a career, or putting them in touch with somebody who can help them along the way, or at least be able to open the door to somebody else. Maybe they'll be able to give them another connection or something to get them on the road to finding success in what they're trying to do. So that's very, very important. So I have one more question. What would you tell your younger self about finding mentors, advocates on campus as a college student, looking back and knowing what you know now?
Yeah, it's, I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about being an 18-year-old and not knowing anything. I was one of these people. I declared my major at the last possible point and still able to graduate in 4 years. And I majored in history, and I recall finally when I made this decision calling home to tell my parents, and there was dead silence on the phone. And then my father says, what the heck do you expect to do with a history degree? I said, I don't know, but I got enough credit hours and I can graduate in 4 years.
I'm graduating.
And I think that's one of the goals here. I didn't know to be proactive. I got to college and I was kind of waiting, I think, and who was going to guide me and things like this. And I remember I went to a small school, which I think was a blessing for me, because since I didn't know what I was doing, I think if I'd gone to UNC at 18, I don't know if I would have survived with that.
No, I understand.
But we had an opening convocation, and the dean of students said, when you were in high school, the teacher gave you all of this stuff, and you were expected to go find this much. You're in college now, it's different. We're going to give you this much, and you're going to find that much. And that really stuck with me. And it wasn't about we're going to leave you to your own devices. That wasn't what it was. It was more about, this is a chance for you to take this stuff and do what you want to do. What do you want to know? Here are the core things. Where do you want to take that? And that really had a huge impact on me as a student and as a freshman at that point. The other one was, I did have one professor who was he had just retired from the Miami Herald. He had been a journalist and an editor at Miami Herald and was teaching as an adjunct. And for some reason, he saw the potential there, gave me an idea for a story, which I wrote, and he helped shop it around and got it published. And what it takes a while for you to realize he took the initiative, not me.
Right.
Okay. And I needed to start cranking toward, I have to take the initiative. And that's really what that dean of students was saying is, be
Right.
proactive a bit
Mm-hmm.
here. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
talk to people. You don't have to start with your professors. Talk to your
Mm-hmm.
roommate. Talk to people you're sitting with in a class.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you work up enough nerve to go talk to your professor, one strategy a lot of students use is they come up at the end of class, the first couple of class periods, and say, I just want to introduce myself. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, look at the time, I have to go to class. So they don't have to spend a long time with me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they put themselves in front of me and say, here's
Right.
who I am.
Exactly.
And, you know, and I may ask a question or two, but they don't have to
Mm-hmm.
stay. They're,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
and
you can build it
you
up,
can
build up.
always zip on off to something
Yeah.
else
Mm-hmm.
without having to worry about that. The other thing
Absolutely.
is organizations on campus, and UNC is just flush with uh, every organization in the world. And see if, for example, we have sort of an organization fair at the beginning of each semester,
Mm-hmm.
where it's sort of they got little booths almost. They have tables
Right.
set up in the quad, and
Right.
you can go see what are these various organizations and pick one to check out
Mm-hmm.
because
Absolutely.
it's the organization, it's something maybe you're interested in, but it's the people who
Absolutely.
can help guide you as you go along. So I think those are the those are the things, to think about. The other is you don't have to accomplish everything right away. There's
Mm-hmm.
that old riddle, how do you eat an elephant? One
Mm-hmm.
bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big thing, but I don't have to try to do everything right now.
Absolutely. Very wise advice. Put yourself out there, get
Yep.
involved,
Yep.
and also become, make yourself vulnerable to other people. To kind of put who you are out there. And, just like you said in the very beginning of this talk, nobody is a mind reader. I haven't figured that one out either.
Mm-mm.
And so, if you need help, if you need somebody to talk to, just put yourself out there, even if it's just a little step at a time. Hi at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the class, or maybe just come in a few minutes early and
Yeah,
chat with you, or just
absolutely.
come up to the office during office hours. Just but that stuff builds, and you
Yeah.
realize, and students will realize that you're not like some frightening
Yeah.
beast or
No.
something
No.
at least I don't think so, Lois.
Yeah,
that
right.
that they
I think
can't
I'm
even.
weird and nerdy sometimes, but I'm not a force to be reckoned with, I don't think. Um,
Absolutely, yes, you are. You're a good force, though.
one thing too to think about with regard to the roadmap and your wonderful, wonderful book is if when you are visiting campuses, if you have that opportunity, ask to sit in a class. I am
Ab-
always open to that. I'll tell you, you don't want to come Thursday, I'm giving a test,
mm-hmm,
but yes, I sign up. The university has, sort of a thing they set up where
mm-hmm,
if I'm willing to let people come and drop in on my class,
mm-hmm,
or when we give tours in our building for the School of Journalism and Media, if I'm in my office, I'm there to talk
mm-hmm.
with, and that can
Absolutely.
be your entree
Mm-hmm.
into speaking with somebody.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. And that's good for students, especially when they, might be a little unsure of what to do
Hmm.
first or
Yeah,
where to go first. And so that's a wonderful, wonderful idea. Come in, sit in on some classes, see what that's like, eat in the dining hall, see what that's like, on a normal basis,
exactly.
and find your footing, find out
Right.
what's going on, and be able to see how the campus operates and how
Exactly.
everybody gets along with one another.
Hmm.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it's been my pleasure to talk to you today. Thank
Very
you
nice.
so much for your wisdom and knowledge about just how students can have a better
Mhm.
path. It's
Yep.
basically a
Yeah.
better path, just navigating the
Yep.
path for future success and on to graduation. We do want them to come out of this with a degree in
A
hand. And
jury would
so,
be nice. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
that's a good thing.
That's a
All right.
good thing. Yes. So, well, thank you. This has been fabulous, and I'm looking forward to seeing more about the road to this success for students.
All right. I'll see you later, and
All right.
thank you so much today.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Educate You. If you wish, you can send me your questions or comments about the college going process or the podcast contents by sending an email to Dr. Greta at gretaoliverconsulting.com. Also, beginning each week after the podcast airs, check for a companion blog on my website's blog page at gretaoliverconsulting.com. My book, College Roadmap, Essential Tips for First-Time College Students and Their Families, is available for sale on Amazon.com. Join us next week for another tip or strategy to make the road to higher education easier for your student.